All right. And today's message is a reminder and a pledge that I would like you to make to yourself that you will always live as the very best of yourself. Amen. And making that commitment to yourself, seeing the future, saying I will, putting it in the future tense, we realize that we are making this decision daily, constantly, every moment, every experience. We are making the decision to portray the very best of ourselves. And as we do, as we even try to do so, we know that we are the very best of God's power and light and love and prosperity. And so to live our very best, if we're going to say that we're living our very best and to actually do live in the very best of ourselves, we have to be at our best. We have to realize that we just do the best that we can, and that is enough. We do the best with what we have. And if we want more, we bring that energy of more in, but we have to be good with what we have right here and right now, knowing that where we are, where we sit, as we are the very best of God. So would you affirm with me? I am the very best of God's power. I am the very best of God's light. I am the very best of God's love. I am the very best of God's prosperity. How wonderful is that? Do you feel that soaking into your spirit and soul? What a great and wonderful thing. So we're in the month of November. It is a month of renunciation, or other people say the word denial. So let's examine what renunciation really is. We have to look at the faculty of renunciation. First of all, this is why I love the metaphysical teaching, because we have 12 disciples that represent 12 faculties of the mind that we have to work through, and denial and renunciation is no different. So when we look at the word renunciation as a spiritual practice, we are looking at it and considering it as the weeding and the pruning of our spiritual garden, right? It is the clearing away of negation, the checking on of our life and our existence, how we're doing things, and then pruning it, weeding it away, just like we do in a physical garden, right? It's back-breaking work to get on your hands and knees and look through the plants. If you're planting tomatoes or cucumbers, you got to look through to see what weeds do not belong, and you have to pull those weeds out so that a healthy plant can grow. But in our spiritual practice, we are really taking an honest look at our life and deciding what works, what doesn't work. And we're looking at this in all facets of our life. We first start with our mind. That's where everything starts. And as we start with the mind, we think about the thoughts that we're thinking, the memories that we have from our past, and how they are affecting and informing what we are doing now, what we are living now in this time and in this place. We're looking at the plans that we have for our future. Are they something for our highest good? Will they benefit us? Will they grow our family? We also have to take a look at our soul and our spirit. That, for me, after the mind, is the very next important thing that we have to do, because the soul really has the things that we sit with in our world, right? There are things that happen in our world that we can't control, and so they sit on our soul. They sit on our spirit, whether good or bad. But these things that we're contemplating through our mind that sit on our soul, they eventually affect our mood. They affect our behaviors, they affect our attitude, they affect our motivation even, and they affect our alertness. And I've always talked about having a time, it wasn't long, but having a time, just a few weeks, where I felt so depressed, so angry with the world, angry with who did me wrong, the betrayal and things like that, that it really affects your strength. You don't even want to get up in the morning. You don't want to talk to people. I remember I had to go get a passport at that time. And again, I was so depressed. I was crying that I couldn't even take my passport picture because there were just tears streaming down my face. I was in a really dark place. And I just kind of went back home and went back to sleep, right? So there are things that can affect our mood, our alertness. There are things that we have to take an honest look within our body. In the meditation that we just did, we talked about the diseases and viruses that can enter the body. And we talked about this change of weather. For the last few weeks, I've been having the sniffles and the coughs because one day it's beach weather, the other day you gotta put on your heavy coat, right? But as our body develops, there's these aches and pains that happen in our body. There's these diseases that our body can pick up, viruses, harmful cancer, things like that. But we have to take an honest look at how our body is expressing these things. And then our relationships. When we come out of our mind, out of our body, out of our soul, and we look at the people that are in our world, right? Our friends, our close loved ones, the people that we're sharing our body with, the people that we're sharing our time with, the people that we're sharing our energy with, we have to take an honest look at those people. And of course, our environment. We have to be more conscious of our environment. We have to, not to the extreme, they talk about climate change and things like that. You see people going out to the Mona Lisa and splashing it with paint and tomato soup just to make a point. I don't think we have to go that far, but we should all take steps to look at our environment, the cleanliness of our environment, our neighbors, the people that we live around, right? The air quality, if they want to put a factory in our area, what are the fumes that are going to be coming from this factory, right? Just to be more involved. This week, we have a big job to do as Americans. We have a big decision to make. And I'm not one to tell you who to vote for. I always say, listen, if you're on social media, follow the Black Diamond Worldwide Outreach page. That is all about motivation and everything. But if you follow my page, you're going to know who I'm voting for, right? I don't ever think that just because I'm a minister, I'm no longer an American citizen. I'm no longer a citizen of the state that I live in. I have the right to make these decisions. And I'm not telling you who to vote for. You vote your conscience. But you do have to vote because that's how you are heard, right? We have to make a decision. And as we go through the voting this time around, let us keep praying. Let us keep praying because there is such a tension. You just kind of feel it in the air. There's such a tension going on. But we have the power within us to ease that tension with the power of our prayer, the power of our word, the power of our possibility, of our positivity. So all these things are happening. The mind, the body, the soul, the relationships, the politics, the this, the that. We realize that life gives us so much to consider. Life gives us so much to decide. But the great thing is that we are capable of handling it all. We are capable of doing the things that need to be done in our world. But sometimes we get lazy. I think about when I give my email to people or people hear the website, they're like, oh, that's too long of a website. It's like less than 20 letters, but people, they want to be so lazy that they don't want to, it's so impossible. And I remember talking to someone that does a podcast, and she also had a long email, and people were complaining that it was too long, and she said, it's long, but you're capable. Right? And even now, when you type it into your computer, you just got to type it in once and it comes up the next time you go, even on your phone, right? But we look at these things, we look at the long game, and we sometimes get exhausted even at the thought of what we need to do in this world. But we must realize that there are things that need to be done. Renunciation is one of the most not liked, I don't want to say hated, but probably within our mind, a lot of people don't like to do renunciation because it means that they're going to be missing something, right? The life that they become accustomed to, even though it's not working out for their highest good, they might miss something once it doesn't pan out. But we know that we may not want to do certain things, but we have to do certain things. One of the greatest lessons I learned as a teenager in my early 20s was, sometimes you get into these new jobs, especially when you're first starting out, and they want you to do kind of the bottom of the barrel because you're paying your dues, you're starting your work, right? And, especially nowadays, a lot of the young people just quit. They just walk away. And they forget that even the president has stuff to do that he doesn't want to do, he or she does not want to do, right? Or even the head of an organization, whatever job that you have, there might be stuff that you do not want to do, and that is the same thing with your life. I look at parents, and even being a guardian, I remember picking up my godson from school, and sometimes we would go to McDonald's and then go to the park if it was a nice day. And he did something, I think he hit another child. And so now, me as the guardian at the moment, I'm not his actual parent, but his parents gave me, free reign to discipline him. But even when you go to discipline these kids, they look so cute. They're so innocent. They give you those eyes where you realize that they really don't know what they're doing. And the word punishment just seems so harsh. It just seems so, kind of antiquated. And at least the admonishment to let them know that you can't do this. You're doing something wrong, right? And then they want to cry, and then you feel even worse. But even sometimes it may not even be that serious. Sometimes you just want to watch your favorite TV show, and your kids are in your ear, and you got to discipline them, right? I know a lot of mothers always complain that, they don't mind being mothers, but sometimes when they go into the bathroom, they draw a nice bath, they got candles, they got their favorite book, and as soon as they soak down in that tub, there are the kids, mommy, mommy, mommy. And so now you have to deal with these things in your world, right? So these are just one example of the things that you have to deal with in your world that you may not necessarily want to deal with in your world, but it has been placed at your feet. So you have to deal with these things. Some people don't want to deal with their body, their health even. We all want to be healthy, but sometimes with changes needed in our diet, in our exercise, the way we move, this maybe supplements or medications that we have to take, we may not want to do it because we don't like having that new phase of life. There are times throughout our lives where we have something dealing with our job or our financial situation, right? Where the job becomes so stressful at times that people sit back and they say, is this worth my energy? Is this worth my time? Is it worth the money? Is it worth missing important things in my children's life and my spouse's life, right? Is it worth the stress? Is it worth me, pulling out my hair and biting my nails for this job? And then one of the biggies is these relationships, right? These friendships that we have with people. Sometimes there are things that happen within our relationships that we may not want to deal with. Number one, a breakup. Sometimes we do have to part ways with other people because they are no longer servicing our highest good. Sometimes we love people so much that even when they do things where we feel that we can't trust them, there's some type of mistrust, there's some type of breakage in the commitment that they have made to us, but we want to keep them in our life. There is all this confusion that can happen in our mind. Do we want to keep them in our lives? Is it worth breaking up with them? Is it worth getting them out of my life? So, as we're taking life seriously, as we're taking our unfoldment seriously, we also have to remember to take it graciously. To take whatever comes in our world and speak the things that we need to speak out of ourselves, out of our souls, out of our spirits, to make sure that our life is going down the right track. Yeah, we have people that we love, but are they on the train that we're on for our highest good? Are they there to help us, or does a conversation need to be had? Do things need to be said? Do boundaries need to be set for our relationships? In the play Antony and Cleopatra, Shakespeare writes, "Give to a gracious message a host of tongues, but let ill tidings tell themselves when they be felt." I heard one minister say sometimes you got to put your hand on your hip and let your backbone slip, which means sometimes you have to use some harsh words with the people in your world, but at the end of it, know that it is for your highest good. If it's something that's really pressing on your mind, pressing on your consciousness, then it is something that you need to push forward to in order to see the greatness of life. So with all these difficulties that we have in our world, we must remember what those difficulties are teaching us. We must remember what the experiences are teaching us. Life is really saying, love me for who I am. That's what these difficult experiences are really saying. Love me for who I am. Love me for the potential that I can bring to your world, for the abundance of love that I can bring in your world. Life is really asking for us to accept it for what it is, to embrace it for what it is, and of course, to pay attention to what life is giving us. What we have to do now is consider ourselves in the situations that come into our world. We have to consider our heart space in this world, right? Have we made room in our heart to expand? Have we made room in our heart to love this new situation? That as this comes up, are we ready, willing, and able to love the situation for all it is? Friends, today remember to always hold space in your heart for life to give you all of its love. For life to give you all that you need to progress to the next step. So would you affirm with me? I always hold space in my heart. I always hold space in my heart. To live a life of love. To live a life of love. How wonderful is that? So now we have spoken that out into our universe. We have spoken that out into our world. Now there must be acceptance and there must be forgiveness. And that doesn't mean that you like the situation or that you even want the situation in your world. What it means is that you're developing your faculty of renunciation. You're developing the faculty that lets you know what to keep and what to take out of your world to bring you to something great. This Sunday, we are starting our Christmas shopping list. And hopefully everyone got a copy of the Christmas shopping list. The affirmation is on the back. And inside is 2 pages where you can write down your desires, right? And then on the 1st of January, we'll have what is called our burning bowl service, where we'll put all the desires and we'll light them on fire and send them into the molecules of the world, in the molecules of the universe. So as we go through the next 2 months, throughout the end of the year, we'll delve deeper and deeper into the Christmas shopping list. But it's good to write your desires down. It's good to write the things that you want down. I remember Dr. John used to say you can get or pray for from a pin to an airplane and all points in between. And that's why I put the part where you write your desires in the middle. So when you're doing your affirmation, you don't have to open it, no one is looking over to see, what you want for Christmas? Or what, people get nosy, and it's nobody's business except for you and your God, your consciousness, your body, because your body is going to be taking you through these situations. But the Christmas shopping list is just one example of an emotional outlet. We all need at least more than one emotional outlet. We all need a release from the things that are going on in the world, right? I'm glad that I have beaches close to me. I can pick, choose, and refuse beaches and lakes and just beautiful scenery where I can calm myself down. And before you know it, I'm spending hours, out in the park. But you have to find your own beach, right? Your own place where you can be, right, where you can center yourself and love who you are. Because without that, people end up with the physical addictions. People end up with things that don't satisfy in their world, right? Alcoholics and drug addicts, people who gamble, people who catfish, that's an addiction too. I still can't believe that the show Catfish is on, where people bring on another persona in their world and they try to fool somebody, right? They contact someone and say that they are somebody else and begin this whole entire relationship being someone that they are not and interfering with people's lives, right? So when we're looking at the world, how do we center ourselves? How do we look at the world, live in the world, be in the world, but still be centered in ourselves? Well, the words of communion say it plainly. We look for spiritual ideas. The spiritual ideas are words, songs, which is, they always say song, when you sing, you pray twice. So it's another form of word just added onto music. You can dance to it. There's something about music that fills your soul. There is prayer and there is silence. Silence is also a form of meditation. I believe that prayer is when you talk to the universe. Meditation is when you allow the universe to speak to you. Are you listening to the universe? But I also think about loud meditation, right? And that's, if you go to therapy, that's laughter, that's looking at your favorite TV shows, that's having fun with life, right? The outings, even drawing or coloring, having new experiences with people, that is what I call loud meditation. Because we have to realize that even in the hustle and bustle of the world, even in the things that we're doing, we're giving an offering to our spirit. We are still giving an offering to our future. In other words, we're still in a meditative state about what we want for the future. Everything that's happening is affecting our soul. And the soul must be satisfied in order for the heart to live. The soul, the inner soul must be satisfied, and the soul finds satisfaction when we commit to living the very best of ourselves. So friends, today, take permanent command of your existence. Take permanent command where you can evaluate your relationship to your mind. You can evaluate and reevaluate constantly your relationship to your body and your love and your potential through renunciation. Renunciation decides what is non-productive versus what is productive for your world. And just like when we speak good into our loved ones and they flourish, we have to realize that we have to speak good into our mind, our body, our love, our relationships, our friendships. We are the ones that have to speak good into our potential in order to solidify it in our world. Again, it is a daily decision that we're making to bring good into our world. So, don't forget about you. Don't forget to believe in yourself first. Don't forget to believe in your productive thoughts and words and actions, your productive potential, because that is who you are here to do. That is who you are here to express in great and wonderful words. You are whole and perfect. You are complete and evolving. That's thing that people can't understand. You are complete just as you are, but there's always more changes that you can make. And you have to stand in the power of those changes. You have to stand knowing that whatever you're doing, you're productive in that onset, in that output, in your world, and you are being the very best of your God self. Would you affirm with me? I believe in my productive thoughts. I believe in my productive words. I believe in my productive actions. I believe in my productive potential. How wonderful is that? Now we're going for a higher mind in God, a higher mind in life. Knowing that this is what life is. Life is a constant rotation of birth and expiration, of growth and renewal. Which energy do you choose to be your best self in? Are you going towards birth and renewal? Right? Seeing a new thing and seeing the progression of that new thing? Or are you living for the expiration? When is the other shoe going to drop? Everything is happening now. When is the failure going to come? When am I going to be exposed for the fraud? Or, whatever the negation that comes in our mind, which energy are you going to live your life in? Governor of Maryland, Wes Moore, he says, I would rather flirt with failure than never dance in my joy. How wonderful is that? I would rather flirt with failure than never dance in my joy. We have these preconceived notions of failure in our world for whatever reason, why ever they come. But we must remember that we must still take the chance. Your dreams, your vision, your peace, your love, your fulfillment is worth all of your effort. So you have to put all of your effort into it. And if doubts come, if fears come, as you go towards your goal, think to yourself, what does my life look like without restrictions? If I didn't restrict myself, or there's sometimes where you're not even restricting yourself, it's just the world, whatever blockage that comes along, and you get to a point that you can't move on from. If that restriction wasn't there, can you sit in your dream? Can you sit in your fulfillment? Can you do what needs to be done to take your vision from your imagination into reality? And that's where, again, renunciation comes in. Renunciation is looking at the misconceptions of perfection in our world. We all have, I remember growing up, they said, everybody wants a wife or a husband, a nice house with a picket fence, a dog, 2 kids. And when you get into the world, you realize that not all those things are reality, or even not all those things you even want to take responsibility of in your world. That just might not be you. So as we're looking at our relationships and our friendships, as we're looking at our bodies, our mind, our soul, our spirit, and in any and all relationships, we must identify and be honest about the misconceptions of perfection that we're holding about our situations. The misconceptions of expression that we're holding about our situations. The misconception of who we are as a child of God. And the misconception of God's creativity. Those situations that are asking for our love, they are only an expression of God's creativity. Renunciation will always be your decision. It will always be a decision whether you're going to accept these things and live with these things and have them sit on your soul and your spirit, or are you going to make the steps to get rid of the negation, to get rid of the doubt, to get rid of the fear, to get rid of the experiences that you hold on to that restrict your confidence. To get rid of even the people, the friends that you hold on to that restrict your confidence, that bring bad messages that lay on your soul. I always think with friends like that, who needs enemies, right? If you got a friend that's not pushing you towards your highest good, what would you ever need an enemy for? So, the spirit pruning, the soul pruning of renunciation is leaving a healthy, fertile soil for you to grow your spiritual garden. Just like, again, you're in the garden and you're picking out the weeds. Sometimes weeds get so entangled in the thing you're trying to grow that you have to literally sit there and pick things apart. That's what you have to do to your world. Pick the things apart that are not for your highest good. Do the work necessary to live your life in joy. Would you affirm with me? I do all the work necessary, to live my life in joy. The last point I want to leave with you this morning comes from our Bible lesson, Matthew chapter 6. It's a great reminder of the higher faith that we can have in our world. Take a look at this. Matthew chapter 6. Verses 33 and 34 remind us, seek ye first the kingdom of heaven, and all good things will be added unto you. The Amplified Version breaks it down and says, but seek first the kingdom, which is the self. The kingdom is within yourself. So seek first the thing that will make the self, the soul happy, and righteousness, doing right things, saying right things, being right in this world to the best of your ability, right? I always think that you have to stop every day and say, did my actions harm other people? Did they hurt other people? Or did they help other people? Not just yourself. Did they help or hurt someone else? But it says, seek the kingdom first, do good things, and all things will be given to you. Here is another part that I love. Do not worry or be anxious about tomorrow, for tomorrow will already have worries and anxieties of its own. But you will be protected, you will be loved, you will be given all good things. Here's the part that I think we as humans forget. We forget that the God of love that we are serving, the God of love that we are a child of, understands our human mistakes. The God of love understands our human fears and errors and anxieties and failures and all these universal emotions and responses that we have for our world, but yet the promise is still made. The promise is still made for eternal life. So it means then that with the promise of eternal life, with the promise of good and right action in our world, the Spirit of God, the Spirit of love that we are praying to, that we are meditating and waiting for messages for, that we are walking with and talking with and living in our world, has already not only understands, but has already made room for our human error. Has already made room for our human mistakes and our human fears and our human doubts and our human anxieties, and still gives us the greatness of ourselves. Still expresses the greatness of who we need to be. Friends, today, remember, as you choose to make the decision to live the very best of yourself, know that wherever you go, whatever you do, you are always being called to greatness. will you answer the call? I see each and every one of you answering the call right here, right now. As you put your fist in the air and affirm this last affirmation with me, I am always being called into my greatness. One more time, I am always being called into my greatness. So friends, today, the call is being put out, right? Are you going to send it to voicemail, or are you going to pick up that call and decide to live? I will live the very best of myself. And as you continue to make this commitment for yourself, for your world, I know for sure, not only will you make the commitment and strive to be the best of yourself, but the world will always see the very best that you have to offer. Thank you so much for listening. I love you, love you, love you. Be blessed. Amen.